YouTube? Just want to get the intro going here. We got some good stuff to talk about. Let's sit back, relax, listen to this intro song, and bring back some memories. And I think it has some good words to describe what's going on today.
Regulators stealing up this property.
Yeah, damn good. Republicans, let's regulate. Right wing, let's regulate. Let's mount up. That's what we got to do. Is we got to mount up because this left-wing mob, biased media is definitely not going to do it. You gotta love them ladies. So let's go ahead and get into the topic here of what this video is going to be about. It's going to be an opinion-based, wanting your opinion on Governor Cuomo, of all people. And I'm going to read a couple news articles and a couple facts, because when I present stuff to you, I present facts backed up by facts. I don't just post on Facebook, Trump is a racist, says Washington Post, or Trump hates transgender, says Washington Post, or Trump hates minorities, says Newsweek. I actually will back up my facts and show the case that I'm doing. I have 5 different news articles with all stating facts of why my point here, Governor Cuomo should not get a pass, and he should be brought up to charges on the elderly that have all died in New York City because of COVID-19, directly because of Governor Cuomo, directly. And I'm going to prove myself how he directly was involved in their deaths. And you guys want to talk about President Trump? Oh, he's got death on his hands, death on his hands. I don't think so. I don't think so. Not happening, guys. I think you guys got the point. But this is what we gotta do. QAnon, Republicans, right, center, everybody. We gotta regulate. We gotta mount up. Take back our cities. Take back, all of our statues. Everything that's been taken from us. We gotta fight back. This is enough is enough. So, getting back to Governor Cuomo. Again, this is a YouTube video. I want to hear your comments. If you agree, if you disagree. If you disagree, that's fine. Just come at me with some facts. Don't say I disagree because you're an asshole, or I disagree because Trump's a racist. Give me some facts. That's all I ask. I'm going to bust you out with some facts. You give me some facts. We could do this all day long. So let's do this. All right, first and foremost, I'm going to prove my point that Trump had plenty of hospital beds. I mean, not Trump, I'm sorry. Cuomo had plenty of freed up hospital beds, freed up equipment, that his rule that he made up himself and his group of health people or whatever, his team in New York City, that made it a law that retirement homes had to accept elderly patients even if they had COVID-19, and they had to accept them back in their retirement homes or their old folks' homes, no matter what. And I'm going to prove that Cuomo knew how that was a deadly recipe for disaster, and over 6,000 elderly New Yorkers, cost them their lives. 6,000. So, and he had, he had many different options he could have done, and one being right here. Brooklyn Field Hospital closed without seeing any patients. City officials confirmed this week. Literally, remember how Cuomo needed those ventilators? He needed more hospital beds. He needed so much stuff, and Trump was just not doing it. He was not doing it. He was not hearing them out. And then next thing you know, you get the USNS Comfort coming from Virginia to help him out. Next thing you know, they got the Army Corps of Engineers building hospitals, and he didn't even use them. Didn't even use a lot of them. So, right here is talking about rapidly then going to the next site, and next site meet our goal. That was de Blasio. The guy's almost as bad as Cuomo. They're running neck and neck with each other. But anyways, again, this is me fact-based. Okay, so not gonna just talk shit. But 670 bed plus site at the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal in Red Hook was built. That 670 bed unit. He also announced another overflow facility at the Billie Jean King Tennis Court in Flushings. That was a 350 bed facility. That only saw 79 patients, according to the city. However, the Red Hook facility never saw a single patient here, and both locations ended up costing over $40 million combined. So, like I was saying, he needed the ventilators, they needed beds, they needed everything. Well, the USNS Comfort, which was originally slated to take pressure off New York hospitals by taking non-coronavirus patients, departed after seeing 182 patients over its month-long stay. That's right, 182. Even though the ship agreed to designate 500 of its 1,000 beds for coronavirus patients, it never came close to reaching capacity. The 1,000-bed USNS Mercy, which docked at Los Angeles Harbor March 27th, departed May 15th after treating just 77 patients. It came prepared with 800 crew members, 12 fully equipped. That's California. We're talking about good old corrupt Cuomo here. Let's see here. Other areas of the country are telling similar stories, preparing for a surge never came. So everybody was so worried, and I understand. You want to prepare for the worst. I understand that, but the fact, and I'm going to get into some of the reports what Cuomo was saying about Trump and what a lot of you lefts want to post on Facebook, which kills me. It frustrates the hell out of me. And so now I'm pretty much going to upload videos every day on Facebook, but I'm actually going to have facts on my videos, not just Trump's a racist, Trump's this, Trump's that. Back up your shit, people. So anyways, back to this. We expanded capacity at a breakneck speed, ensuring our hospital infrastructures would be prepared to handle the very worst. We did so only with a single-minded focus, saving lives, City Hall spokesperson Avery Cohen said, according to the city. Over the past few months, social distancing, face coverings, other precautionary measures have flattened the curve drastically. We remain squarely focused on taking the progress even further, Cohen added. So, news comes as the country begins to reopen. We all already know about all that, right? So, let's go on to my point. Andrew Cuomo's COVID-19 tall tales. This is brought to you guys by the New York Post, of all places. The New York Post. Never thought this would happen a day in my life, but New York Post is writing about Governor Andrew Cuomo must have short memory. Either that or he's trying to distract attention from his administration's deadly coronavirus failures by criticizing President Trump's many life-saving actions. That's right. That's the New York Post saying President Trump's many life-saving actions. During a recent press conference, Cuomo took yet another cheap shot at Trump, arguing that the president's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic was somehow worse than the infamous Watergate scandal. Don't even know how you compare the two. You look at the facts clearly demonstrate Trump was wrong from day one, and New Yorkers have been right from day one, Cuomo bragged. The problem is that Cuomo has been resoundingly and tragically wrong about the pandemic himself, and unlike the Trump scandal that exists only with Cuomo's imagination, Cuomo's failure of leadership has been very real. More people have died of COVID-19 in New York than any other state. At least 6,000 of them in nursing homes. That is something to be proud of. That is not something to be proud of. On March 25th, Cuomo's Department of Health, this is Cuomo's Department of Health, issued a mandate forcing New York nursing homes to admit coronavirus patients, a move that alarmed infectious disease experts nationwide. If you introduce 4,500 people sick with a potentially lethal disease in a vulnerable and notoriously imperfectly monitored population, people are apt to die, said Charles Bronas, chairman of the Epidemiology Department of Columbia's Mailman School of Public Health. The executive director of the Society for Post-Acute and Long-Term Care Medicine, Christopher Laxton, also sharply condemned Cuomo for failing to consult clinical experts prior to implementing the policy. So he didn't even check with literally clinical experts that are experts in at least disease control. Maybe not with COVID, but at least disease, infectious diseases. After blistering criticism, the controversial mandate mysteriously disappeared from the Department of Health website, but it took almost 2 months before Cuomo to officially revise the deadly order. By that point, the damage had already been done. Many New York nursing homes had become breeding grounds for the virus, which turned out to be particularly dangerous to the elderly and infirm, exactly the sort of people who reside in nursing homes. The Department of Health has now published its own report defending the March 25th order, but my colleagues and I are preparing for a public hearing and calling for an independent probe into Cuomo's administration's mandate to make sure we get the full, unvarnished truth. The people of New York, nursing home staff, and families of coronavirus victims deserve real answers from their governor, not deflection and not partisan sniping. Meanwhile, in contrast, Cuomo, President Trump has gone above and beyond to help New York win its battle against the virus. I remember this, providing federal assistance whenever we needed it. This is what Cuomo said, whenever we needed it most. For instance, the White House deployed a Navy hospital ship, USNS Comfort, to Manhattan, which Cuomo himself admitted not only brought comfort, but also saved lives in New York City. At the president's discretion, the Army Corps of Engineers worked closely with state authorities to convert the Javits Convention Center, and Westchester County Center into dedicated COVID-19 hospitals. Trump also secured thousands of ventilators for New York that we ultimately, fortunately, did not need, and millions of items of personal protective equipment for our first responders and healthcare workers. Our heroes were unable to rely on Cuomo or Mayor Bill de Blasio, but they were able to count on Trump. Not long ago, the New York governor openly praised the president's response to the pandemic, cheering that Trump delivered for New York, and that by and large, his strategy has worked. After the outbreak of the pandemic, I was careful not to pass early judgment against our elected leaders in their handling of the coronavirus. The loss of people's lives should never become a partisan issue, but Cuomo has made it clear that he is all in on politicizing the virus, even as it has already killed more than 32,000 of our fellow New Yorkers. Cuomo's desperate attempts to shift blame for his own failures on the federal government must not distract us from the facts. New Yorkers must hold Governor Cuomo and his administration accountable for their deadly failures. I mean, how can you not? How is this not a story? How has this not been brought up? How is this not talked about? Literally not talked about. Over 6,000 people. 6,000. That is just crazy to me. Crazy. And then it gets better here. It gets better here. Let's see here. What do we got? Let me pull up this article right here. And also finish this up. Oh. As the Republicans. Yeah. So, here we go. Governor, so this is also by, let's see, Newsweek. Okay, Newsweek, another reputable paper, or now, I guess, internet paper. Governor Andrew Cuomo was looking to diffuse rather than to stoke the anger of New Yorkers when he was asked this past Sunday whether someone should be prosecuted for what has happened in the state's nursing homes during the coronavirus pandemic. As far as Cuomo was concerned, the quest for justice on the part of bereaved relatives of residents in the homes was not productive. After all, the governor reasoned we can't keep everyone alive. He said his reasoning is we can't keep everyone alive. What a cold-hearted bastard, if you ask me. But, that's Pelosi, that's all of them. I mean, they are just evil to the core. But during a pandemic that is particularly dangerous for the elderly, as far as he was concerned, nobody should be hauled into court to account for the catastrophic death rate in such facilities. But what he failed to mention was more pertinent than his philosophic musings about mortality, because if anybody deserves some blame from what occurred in New York's nursing homes, it is Andrew Cuomo. The pandemic turned the three-term governor into a media star. Cuomo's ability to show empathy for victims while demonstrating that he was in charge during the crisis turned his daily pressers into must-see TV. The contrast between the governor's sensitive performances and President Donald Trump's press briefings, which provided a mix of boasts and hand-to-hand combat with hostile press, was widely noted. Largely dismissed as something of a political thug who lacked his famous father Mario's, I don't even know how to say that, and grace. Speculations about him replacing former Vice President Joe Biden as the Democratic presidential nominee emerged as a popular topic of conversation. I remember they were talking about, oh man, he's so great, maybe he should run for president, What do you know, why that cooled off real quick? Here it is. But lost amid the adulation has been one troubling fact. It was an order from Cuomo's Department of Health, again, like I stated last paper, Cuomo's Department of Health, backed up in public by the governor, that was directly responsible for a large share of the massive death rate in facilities that catered to the elderly. The March 25th order handed down by Cuomo's health department mandating that those recovering from the illness could not be rejected by nursing homes set in motion the events that inflated the state's COVID-19 death tolls. So again, mandated that if these people are still sick with the coronavirus and they need somewhere to stay, the elderly, you have to take them into your home or your elderly, home business, knowing that it's going to spread like wildfire, and especially to the elderly that have already low immune systems. That's just a death sentence. That's literally a death sentence. It gets even better though, what he does. You think the family knew about it? You think the families knew about this? No, they didn't. The implication of this rule, which was apparently strictly enforced, was the facilities had no choice but to admit carriers of the contagion. The result of this blunder were as brutal as they were predictable. By early May, statistics showed that nationwide, approximately 1 out of every 3 COVID-19 fatalities were either residents or workers in nursing homes. The toll was especially heavy in New York, largely because the homes were forbidden from rejecting those who had already come down with the illness and likely to help it spread. But as late as April 26, Cuomo was still doubling down on the order. During a press conference, he said again that nursing homes had no right to challenge the state order, despite what he acknowledged was a feeding frenzy of virus deaths. Oh, this guy is something else. By contrast, though, good old righty-right Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who was widely pilloried for a response to the pandemic that was allegedly both too little and too late, allowed nursing homes in his state to refuse to admit virus victims. As a result, the death toll in nursing homes in our state with a bigger elderly population was estimated this week to be approximately 875. 875 compared to 6,000 with a state that has way more elderly than New York. A lot less than approximately 5,000 estimated deaths in New York nursing homes by the middle of May. That was May. The other report was June. New York State's order was motivated by fears that those who had survived the illness might be rendered homeless if facilities had the freedom to keep them out. But the proper response was not to deny facilities the option to protect the residents. Governor Phil Murphy repeated the same mistake in New Jersey with similar results. Why make them go back to the nursing homes when you've got a U.S. naval ship with 300-something beds? You've got a hospital that you needed so bad with 600 beds that only 70 people stayed in. You've got, countless beds that you could have put these elderly in, but instead, you tell them that they have to go back to their nursing homes where the elderly's immune systems are already weak. That is going to kill a lot of people, and it did. The problem was compounded by a policy of secrecy. Families of the elderly were not informed that their loved ones were being put in harm's way. Isn't that nice? But while Cuomo conceded that at one point that he wouldn't put his own mother in a nursing home right now, he was at the same time backing up his administration's decision. It took 6 weeks after the state issued its order for New York to finally back down and reverse the ruling. In the meantime, hundreds, perhaps thousands of lives were lost because of this asshole right here. Ridiculous. And the rest of this goes on about, with the most media obsessed with trying to demonstrate that Trump has blood on his hands for his pandemic missteps. There appears to be little appetite for rebuking Cuomo. Cuomo was right that many of the elderly victims might have died from some other cause this year. It's also true that he didn't consciously will their deaths. But fortunately for him, the partisan nature of the nation's reaction to the pandemic and the obsession with Trump, perceived failures will ensure that he gets a pass for a deadly mistake that would have sunk him if he were a Republican rather than a Democrat. Imagine if Cuomo was Trump. All you people would be wanting him out of office immediately. He's got all these deaths on his hand. You see how freaking two-sided you guys are? It's ridiculous. It makes me sick. And if you guys don't see that, if Cuomo was Trump, you guys would have him hung, publicly killed. But no, guess what? He's not Trump. He's the New York governor. And guess what? He's a Democrat. So did you guys even hear about the story? Do you guys even know about it? Barely any. Maybe had one news article about it. But if this were Trump, his ass would be hung out to dry. You guys would be having impeachment conferences and how he's got blood on his hands and this and that, when he's done nothing but try and help New York out. And then to get shit on by Cuomo afterwards is ridiculous. And then just to back up one more thing, just in case if you guys don't understand my point. Here is from a Brooklyn nursing home where 55 elderly people have died from COVID-19, begged New York health officials to move its sick residents. He even told Cuomo, let's move them to the Navy hospital ship, the USNS Comfort, weeks ago. But guess what? Was denied. The CEO of Cobble Hill Health Center in Brooklyn, Donnie Touchman, pleaded with New York Health Department. Oh, sorry, this is by the Daily Mail TV. Patients. At the time of the email, only 134 of the 1,000 beds of the Javits Center were being used, and Comfort had only 62 patients on board the ship. They had the capacity to treat 500. I was told these facilities were only for hospitals, Tuchman told the New York Post. Now the 360-bed nursing home is topping the nation's list of nursing home deaths. Cobble Hill Health Center's Brooklyn, New York begged to move its sick residents to the Navy hospital ship, the USNS Comfort, weeks ago, but was denied. In Tuchman's email to state health officials, he said, we don't have the ability to cohort right now based on staffing. We really want to protect our other patients. The Comfort only treated 179 patients in 3 weeks, that ship that was docked in New York Harbor. The ship will be returned past Norfolk, Virginia. Demand for hospital beds, blah, blah. The Comfort had steamed into New York Harbor to cheers and applause on March 30th and was viewed by many New Yorkers as long overdue help for federal government. It was intended as an overflow hospital, blah, blah, blah. Its hesitation in accepting COVID-19 patients was it would be a complex operation to disinfect the ship once the pandemic was over. Let's see what this asshole has to say here. 49-second clip. Let's see what this asshole has to say.
Lumi's the first deodorant of its kind.
Let's first hear what this commercial has to say. Not really.
Will give you results you've never had. Observe. BO happens
come on.
because bacteria live
Come on.
on your skin, eat your sweat, and produce gas. Lumi is nothing like the deodorant.
Away from May 1st, millions of New Yorkers have rent due, they have mortgages, brought to a rent freeze for rent.
I'm quite interesting. Can't hear a word. Huh. All right. Well, never mind. Anyways, so this is the CEO of the Cobble Hill Health Center in Brooklyn, Donnie Tuckman, pictured right here, pleaded with New York Health Department officials in an email on April 9th, asking if there's a way for us to send our suspected COVID patients to either the Comfort Hospital built inside the Jacob Javits Center or Convention Center. Cobble Hill pictured offers temporary care for those recovering from a hospital stay, as well as permanent care for older and chronically ill residents, and has had 55 COVID-19 deaths. That was at the beginning of everything. Now, where is Connecticut, New Jersey, Massachusetts, 52,000 right there. Florida, 987 deaths. Anyways, Tuckman alerted the health department of the nursing home's dire conditions. Previous email on April 8th. He said the facility had over 50 symptomatic patients scattered through the building in almost no gowns. There's no way for us to prevent the spread under these conditions, he wrote. Is there anything more we can do to protect our patients and staff? Thank you for any help you could. Oh my God. Then 20 minutes later, hey, they responded quickly. Attachment on how to conserve your PPE. The health official wrote, many facilities have built in this guidance into their contingency plan in the event of PPE supply shortage and depletion of supplies. Thanks. A follow-up response from the health department added, please be sure to submit your request through the local OEM daily. Tuckman said Friday, this has been a very sad and painful experience. When the virus gets into the building, it is very, very hard to control. Sad. Sad. Could have all been different. And you guys want to sit here and sit back and blame Trump for all this crap. And if the roles were reversed and Trump was Cuomo, man, would you guys have a feeding frenzy on him? Man, would you guys be demanding, a lynch mob would be demanding him to be hung, and you guys would want his neck. You guys would want him to reside right away. You know, you guys would be blowing up pissed. So I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Again, backing up with facts, not bullshit, not posting just, Pelosi said she doesn't respect minorities and doesn't care that she knows she has their vote. Says Fox News Daily. No, that's not the truth. I was just using it as an example. What the truth is back it up by facts. At least a couple different sources. Don't just say Trump's a racist. I'm sick of seeing that shit. I'm sick of seeing Trump did this, Trump did that. Back the shit up, and I'll be more than happy to read it. All right? Again, this is your boy. This is your boy, the man, the myth, the legend. I want to say I'm out. And cue Republicans, regulate. So I said, let's do this. Peace, guys. Now remember, like, subscribe, and answer. Put some comments down in the comment section. Please share this. I want to get this around. I want to see what people have to say about this.